everyone, today I'm sharing with you my January book haul. As always, it is a massive book haul, like 15 to 20 books. So without further ado, let's get into it. I only bought 2 books this month because I am going out of town in February, so I'm kind of saving up my money for my trip in. I was like, I can only buy a couple books, so I only bought 2, sad to say, and the rest were sent to me either by publishers or book boxes. So first I'm going to show you the 2 books I bought. The first book I bought was Furthermore by Tahara Mafi. This is the first book in her series. I guess one just came out either in November or December called Witchwood, and I wouldn't say it's a sequel, it's more of like a companion book. But either way, this is the first book. This is a middle grade novel. It's all about a girl named Alice who basically travels this world where it's all colorful and she's colorless and she's trying to find her father. That's all I know about it. A ton of people rave about this book and particularly the series. I really want to get into more middle grade this year, so this is like top priority for middle grade reading, and cannot wait to read this because I really want to read Witchwood right after it. And the other book I bought is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I heard this book over on Lala's channel and I just loved the sound of it. All I know about this is about a girl named Frances who spends a lot of her time studying, and when she's not studying, she's making fan art for her favorite podcast, Universe City. And then she gets contacted by the podcast owner by the name of Radio Silence. He asks Frances if she can collaborate with him, and they spend and then she meets Alid, and they spend an entire summer together working and becoming on best friends. And basically when Alid's identity is really revealed, when he's like no longer Radio Silence, when he gets revealed for being the podcast like creator, things happen. But either way, this is all about podcasts, and I was really into podcasts at one point in my life. I loved Serial, I loved This American Life, there were so many others. I would just listen to podcasts and I still have a love for them. Never read a book about like a podcast and things like that, so I cannot wait to read this book. It sounds like a great YA contemporary that is right up my alley. The stack of books I'm going to show you are books I got sent by publishers, and there is a lot. So just know either I get these, I request these, or email me asking to read them, and sometimes I'll get them unsolicited. So just know that. I'm grateful for every single one of them. The first book I was not expecting because I did receive an arc of it. I was honestly planning to buy this full price, like no problems at all, but I got it in the mail one day. I was like, oh my gosh. And that is a finished copy of Surprise Me by Sophie Kinsella. It comes out like February 13th, I want to say. Sophie Kinsella is a adult chick lit author. She's my favorite chick lit author. I love her books so much. This is about a couple that's been married for 10 years and they go to the doctor and the doctor's like, I see you guys living for like another 70 years. So they're like, oh crap, we're gonna be married for a really long time. And they also have twin daughters. I did not mention that. And so they decide to like spice up their marriage and like keep it romantic and active. And that is what this book is all about. I am planning to read it in February because I'm just so excited. And it's just so like relevant. I keep saying that, but I'm celebrating my 10-year anniversary with my husband this year, so I'm like, this is the perfect book to read. So I cannot believe I got a finished copy of this. And in case you're wondering, I do have an arc of the book still. I will be doing a giveaway for that very, very soon. This book Simon & Schuster sent to me, and that is American Panda by Gloria Cho. This also comes out in February, and I cannot wait to read it. Well, is Mei Lee, who is in college, and her parents want her to become a doctor one day, and they want her to marry a Taiwanese guy, and they want her to do all of these things. But Mei Lee does not want any of that. She is quite literally terrified of germs, so she doesn't want to be a doctor. She really doesn't have any desire to marry a Taiwanese guy. There's a guy in her class that she's crushing on hardcore, and he's not Taiwanese. So this is all about kind of telling her parents that she's not going to fulfill their expectations of her and trying to figure out what she wants in her life while also trying to maintain that relationship with her parents. So either way, this sounds cute, diverse. I can't wait to read it. Another book Simon sent to me is The Apocalypse of Elena, Mendoza by Sean David Hutchinson. This is his newest release. I have not read one of his books. I know, it's tragic. I own 2 of them now, so I'm like, I need to get on it. Sean David Hutchinson has a distinct style of writing and a very distinctive plot. Like, they're always kind of contemporary, but with a little dash of like sci-fi in there as well. This is all about a girl, 16-year-old Elena, is the product of a virgin birth. This can be scientifically explained. But she's also able to heal Freddie, the girl she's had a crush on for years, from a gunshot wound in the Starbucks parking lot, or why the boy who shot Freddie disappeared from the same parking lot minutes later, getting sucked up to the clouds. Sounds really interesting. Elena is the product of a virgin birth. She can like heal people. Apparently also in this is like there's a talking girl in a Tampax box. I don't know what's going on, but a lot of people have already read this and raved about it, so I can't wait to read it. If you've read his books, let me know. Should I start out with We Are the Ants, or which one should I start with? I would love to hear your opinion. The next book Berkeley sent to me, and that is The Wedding Date by Jasmine Grawley. So excited for this one. This book just sounds like a perfect chick lit book, and pretty much like I envision it as a movie as well. This is called The Wedding Date, and it's literally all about that. So we have these two people named Drew and Alexa, and they meet on an elevator, and Drew's about to go to his ex's wedding, which is so awkward, and he's like, I don't want to go alone, and Alexa's like, hey, I'll go with you. I don't know you, but I'll be your wedding date. Hence the title, and I think things progress from there. Either way, it sounds adorable, cute, all the things I just love. And this is an adult book. Did I mention that, by the way? Next up from Imprint, I got Beautiful Broken Hearts by Kami Garcia. This book sounds very intense and very, very important. This is all about Peyton, who learns that she is going to go to college, like her first choice college, which is great. So her senior year is starting off great, and then basically she discovers her boyfriend's dark secrets, and she confronts him, and he pushes her down a flight of stairs. Going to this college because she's a soccer player is not going so well now. You know, things are starting to happen with that push. People are starting to talk. Was she really pushed, or did she fall? So people aren't believing her story that her boyfriend was abusive towards her, and that's what this whole book is about. I think she meets another guy and things happen from there. This sounds like a very important read, and it's actually based on an experience Kami Garcia had herself when she was in high school. A friend of hers had pushed her down a flight of stairs, and she was faced with the question of, people really questioned her of whether she was pushed or did she just fall. And this book's so important because there are so many abusive relationships happening to this day, and it's very hard to read about, yes, but it needs to be read about, because either way, this is going to be very heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, a very, very important read. So I am interested in seeing how Kami Garcia is going to tell the story, because it's based on what actually happened to her. Next up, I got sent Every Day by David Leviathan. This book's actually being turned into a movie. This is like the movie poster, and I think the movie's coming out next month? I don't know. I've yet to read this book. This is a kind of old book. I feel like it was really popular when I was first on BookTube, but I never read it. This book is very interesting. Basically, we have a main character named A, and every day A wakes up in a different body that is not his own. And falls in love with this girl, I forget her name, and basically, you know, every day the girl has to look for A and what body he's gonna be in that day, and it's about them falling in love, and it says, every day I'm someone else. I am myself. I know I am myself, but I'm also someone else. It has always been like this. It sounds very interesting. A lot of people really enjoy this book, so I'm really thinking about reading it and then watching the movie and then like doing a review on it. So if you've read this book, let me know. I don't know when it was published, but I feel like it's been out for like a while, like at least 3 or 4 years. So I'm very, very late on reading this. Next up from William Morrow, I have All the Beautiful Lies by Peter Swanson. Peter Swanson is an adult thriller author, and I've never read any of his books either, but I heard about this one. It sounds very, very intriguing. This one comes out in April, and this one sounds so weird. This follows a guy named Harry, who's always considered his stepmother, Alice, to be kind of sexy and beautiful in an otherworldly way. Of course he's never acted on it, but he's always been very attracted to her. And then basically his stepmother calls him one day and says that his father has died. And from there they kind of help, like, I don't know, pick up his pieces, get the house in order already. Then he meets another girl named Grace, and Grace has a lot of mysterious things going on. And then he notices that his stepmother, well, I guess it's not stepmother anymore because his father has died, has started to come on to him. So basically this is like a weird book of like being attracted to your stepmother and like maybe a murder going on, because maybe his dad wasn't like, he didn't just die accidentally, it was a murder. I don't know. Peter Swanson writes very, very gripping, kind of intense novels, and I haven't read any of his books, so if you've read one of his books, let me know which one to start out with, because I don't know if I want this one to be my first one, but either way, I really want to read it. Next up from Harper Teen, I have Everlist by Sarah Holland. This is I want to say it's the first book in a new series, I'm not sure, but this is basically about a world where time is like money. Time is everything. So you pay for things and like time, like your lifespan of time. And we have people that are rich that kind of just, it says the rich control everything, even time. We follow this girl named Jules, and her and her father have been used to be servants in this place called Everlist. It's like a manor. Jules' dad is dying and he needs more time, so she goes to Everlist to steal time. So it's very interesting. It reminds me of this movie. I think that Justin Timberlake was in it. Was he in it? And like they had time, and it was a horror movie, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it had an interesting plot. Like I was like, this is a good plot. Like it's a good, you know, foundation. I was interested in it, but it wasn't fleshed out at all. But I'm hoping this book, I'm hoping this book is a little bit more fleshed out than the movie was. The movie and this are not obviously connected, but you see the similarities. But it just sounds really interesting, but I've read really not so great reviews on it. But I want to check it out because when like time is everything and like you can take time, oh, I don't know. It just sounds interesting. From Disney Hyperion, I have This Is Not a Love Letter by Kim Purcell. Look at this cover. I love that it's watercolor. This one is also another hard-hitting book. This is about a girl named Jessie and friend Chris are about to graduate. And then like a week before graduation, Chris disappears. And the police thinks he's run away, but Jessie does not think that. He disappeared while going on a run along a river with the same place these guys beat him up like weeks before. So Jessie thinks that that has something to do with his disappearance, but nobody quite believes her. And basically this book is every Friday since they've started dating, Chris has always written Jessie a love letter. And ever since, you know, Chris has disappeared, Jessie started to write him a letter every single Friday, but it's not a love letter. It's more about what's going on in the town and how, you know, people are turning against Jessie and they're slandering him, and she does not believe that at all, and she really just wants him to come back. So just writes him a letter. That's why it's obviously called This Is Not a Love Letter. It just sounds very gripping and intense, and it sounds awesome. The last stack of books I have, I got sent to by Algonquin publishers. They were so kind in sending me a whole bunch of books, so thank you so much. And all of these I cannot wait to get to. The first one, oh, I'm so excited for this one. This is a backlist book, but I was like, oh my gosh. And that is The Storied Life of A.J. Finnick. This has literally been on my Amazon wishlist for years. Like I've just always been looking at it. This is said to be like, if you're a book lover, you need to read this book. Well, I am a book lover, what do you know? So this is all about A.J. Finnick, obviously, and he lives alone. His bookstores experience the worst sales in history, and his now prized possession, a rare collection of poems, has been stolen, and then a mysterious package arrives on his doorstep, and then it goes from there. It just sounds adorable and sweet, and I have not read a bad review of it yet, so I cannot wait to read this. I'm saving it for like when I really need to pick me up because it just sounds like the perfect book. Then they sent me an upcoming book. I think, well actually, it may have already come out, and that is An American Marriage by Tahari Jones. Oh, it sounds so good. I actually talked about this on my like top adult books I cannot wait for in 2018, and this book sounds so riveting and intense. That's just been my thing lately with books. This is about this couple that just got married, so they're newlyweds, and the husband actually gets arrested and put in jail for a crime that he did not commit, and he knows, and his wife knows he did not commit. So this book takes place of them getting married, his time in jail, and then he gets out early as well. In between that time, the wife's experiencing a lot of heartache because her husband's in jail, and she turns to his best friend for comfort, and things are going on from there. But this just sounds so riveting. I know it talks about prisons and jail and how the system is kind of messed up with that. It also talks about the idea of what an American marriage really is, and the American dream, and being put in jail for a crime you do not commit. We cannot wait to read this one. I plan to read it very soon because it just sounds so amazing. Next up, I have another Gabrielle Zevin book, Young Jane Young, and it sounds amazing. This is about a woman named Avia, and she is a congressional intern in Florida and then she makes the mistake of having an affair with her married boss. And then the affair comes to life. The popular congressman does not take the fall. She does. So she decides to move to Maine with her daughter to escape because she's been blamed for this too. It's quite slandering, honestly. She decides to run for office herself, I believe. And then the long mistake that she made so long ago comes back to, you know, bite her. But I really think this is going to be an interesting book because I think a lot of the times when it comes to an affair, we pit against one side of a person, like they were wrong. And I'm like, no, it takes two to tango. It's interesting to read about, and I'm interested to see how this book's going to go. It sounds amazing. I have another thriller because I've been into thrillers so much lately, and this is Shadows of the Lions by Christopher Swan. And if I'm honest with you, I don't know anything about this book. This takes place in Virginia, which is my state that I live in, and it also follows Matthias. Basically, we have this guy and his best friend goes missing. Main character tries to move on in his life, only to realize that he discovers what happened to his missing friend, and he'll be stuck in the past. So basically, he's trying to figure out what happened to his friend years and years ago. That's all I know about it. With thrillers, I kind of don't want to know too much because I feel like it's going to really spoil myself. So either way, sounds awesome. I've been loving thrillers lately. And the last book they sent me is actually a YA one, and that is called All the Wind in the World by Samantha Mayberry. It says, keep your eyes open and your head down. down and your love secret. I think this is all about people falling in love when it's like frowned upon and not really good. It follows Sarah and James, who have fallen in love working in endless fields that span a bone-dry Southwest in future. Sounds interesting? I can't wait to read it. And my last stack of books are books I got from Bookboxes. The first one I got in my Crate this month is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is the Crate edition. I really enjoy it. I like both editions a lot. I have already read this and I loved it, and a review video will be coming soon. This is basically about a fae world, and it follows Jude, our protagonist. When she was 7 years old, a fae comes to her door and kills her mother and kills her father, and pretty much the man whisks Jude and her two sisters off to fae. Flash forward to when Jude is 16 and she's living in the fae world, and it's very, very harsh there. She's learning that she loves the fae world but also hates it, and she's just trying to survive it. So that's what this book is all about. I'd say it's really heavy on politics. It has very little romance in it, which I enjoyed. But either way, it was a very interesting read, and I will be filming a review on it, but I enjoyed it. And then in my cozy reader box, I got the Immortal List by Chloe Benjamin. Look at that sparkle, it's so pretty. This is an adult book, and this follows, like, it's in the 60s, and we have a psychic come to this town, and the Gold family, more specifically the children, go to this psychic, and the psychic can tell you when you're gonna die. So she tells all the Gold children when they're gonna die, and this book follows their life pretty much. And the whole premise of this book is, if you knew the date of your death, how would you live your life? And it just sounds so intriguing to me. Like, I just love that we're gonna follow them, like, from this, when the psychic tells them, and how their lives are gonna be affected by knowing when they're exactly going to die. So I cannot wait to read this one. The last stack of books I have from Book of the Month. I'm a Book of the Month ambassador, and I love their picks so much. The first two I have are thrillers. The Woman in the Window by A.G. Finn. This book has been getting so much hype lately. I've still yet to read it. This is about a woman that's pretty much a recluse, and she spies on her neighbors a lot, and she spies on these new neighbors that come, and something happens clearly that should not be seen, and that's all you know about the book. And I think it sounds awesome. I've been hearing a lot of mixed reviews on it. Like, a lot of people say don't buy the hype, some people say it's good. So I think ultimately I'm just gonna have to read it, see for myself if it's gonna be good or not. Either way, I love the cover. It looks very intriguing, and it reminds me a lot of a whole bunch of other thrillers. I think this is a very common theme of, like, somebody spying on their neighbors and seeing something they shouldn't have seen. So it's interesting to see how it's gonna play out. The thriller I have from them is Two Girls Down by Louisa Luna, and this is basically about two girls that go missing, and the police don't do a lot. They kind of just have a dead end, and the parents hire this private investigator who's very brutal, that really will do anything that it takes to find these two girls, and that's what this book is all about. And the last book I have to share with you guys is The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. This actually won the Book of the Year award for Book of the Month, so this thing's massive, let me tell you. I don't know much about it. A lot of people say it's amazing and intense, and this is about a sweeping, heartfelt saga about the course of one man's life, beginning and ending in post-war Ireland. That's all I'm going to tell you about it, because it just sounds like it's going to be a really gripping story about a man that deals with a lot. I think he's adopted, and he doesn't love his adopted family, doesn't like him, and then he just kind of goes on his own path and has to learn about himself. And it just sounds amazing. I've heard a lot of good things about it, but it's like, it's almost 600 pages. It's a big book, so I'm excited to read this, but also, like, very nervous because of the sheer size. That's all the books I had to share with you for my January book haul. It's safe to say I'm excited for all of these. I always am for every book haul, but I'm hoping to read the majority of these very, very soon and keep my TBR pile down. As always, if you've heard or read of any of these books, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear your guys' responses. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.